everybody, welcome to Between the Lions, the bi-weekly bite-sized ongoing oral history of the ongoing mission by the musical collective known as My Soul Among Lions to put all 150 psalms from the Bible to music. My name is Nathan Alberson, your humble and obedient host, sometime lyricist for My Soul Among Lions, creative director of Warhorn Media. We've got the CEO of Warhorn Media and lyricist for My Soul Among Lions, Jake Menzel, one of the project heads along with yours truly. How you doing, Jake?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. Both phenomenal and fantastic. A word I've invented that does a lot of work that other words weren't doing.
You know, we were just talking before the show. I think that this is becoming one of my favorite podcasts to do. It's just fun. It's like you said a couple episodes ago. It's fun to talk about the creative process.
It's really fun to talk about the creative process. There's nothing I like doing better than talking about the creative process. And since I'm a narcissist, I like even better talking about my own creative process. Usually,
which we'll get to eventually.
Yeah.
Wait a few psalms. For that
Wait a few psalms. But we're getting there.
Yeah, we are actually.
We are getting there. Today, we're talking about an interesting song. And I should, of course, how could I forget? I need to introduce Pastor Philip Moyer, one of the other heads of the project, the musical genius behind. If you like a My Soul Among Lions song, then you like something that Phil did on it. Whether he's listed as
record, produce, and arrange every single song that you've ever heard.
That's yeah.
He has engineered, produced, and arranged every song from My Soul Among Lions. If you like My Soul Among Lions, you like the work of Philip Moyer. Even if he didn't write the song, his fingerprints are all over it.
And here's a question for you, Phil, a random question.
Sure.
When you were 16 years old, what was your favorite band?
Oh, man, that's embarrassing.
I would have said the Beatles or maybe Radiohead.
Do you mean favorite contemporary of that time?
Or favorite all time?
Of that time or all time?
At 16. If somebody was going to come up to 16-year-old Phil Moyer and say, hey,
man,
who's your favorite band?
I would probably say Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin?
That's not embarrassing.
Well, that's not. But, if I talked about the contemporary band of that time, it might get more
If I would have said, hey, Philip, what's on your Discman?
On my Discman?
Or your Walkman? Whatever it would have been at the time. What are you listening to in your car right now?
If I drove.
What are you listening to while you skateboard around
Probably Nirvana and Pearl Jam.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So you were like the Seattle alternative.
Seattle bands.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
The grunge. I was all about the grunge.
From Philly, though. Come on.
What? I wasn't from Philly City,
but
suburbs of Philadelphia.
You were dancing in the clubs.
That's true. I mean, I'm a musician. I grew up listening to a lot of different music.
Wait. That's true. I was a b-boy. I'm a musician. Of course I was.
I mean, okay. Like the Beastie Boys, like the skateboard, interested in all different styles of music. Yeah. I mean, I grew up as a classical musician as well. So It's like, I just appreciate music. And
have we told people Phil's cred?
Which cred?
It's like PhD in choral conducting.
Stuff
like that. We've done that.
People should understand that. Yeah. No, let's tell them. You've got a PhD in choral.
No, I don't. Actually, I have no cred.
He dropped that. He came here to do this PhD in choral conducting.
I mean,
studied at Westminster Choir College, was an intern at 10th Pres.
Went to Philadelphia College of Bible, now Cairn University, studied voice. Vocal performance, studied Bible, had lots of singing lessons, and sang opera, pursuing a career in that. But having a lot of vocal experience, I went into choral music. And so I went to Westminster Choir College in Princeton, New Jersey, which is a great school. I learned a lot there. Got to sing with some great choirs and conduct great choirs, and got my master's in choral conducting and sacred music, and then came out here to Indiana University to get a doctorate in choral music, and the rest is history.
The Lord had other
stole
plans.
My heart.
He stole your heart.
The Lord did a great work, actually, is what it comes down to.
That's absolutely true. And yeah, but that's a good thing. People should understand that. And people should understand the name of your band when you were a teenager. Tortuga.
It's hard to pick a band name.
It is.
It's well,
Yeah.
You have to resort to just blindly pointing your finger. And
didn't you have another band that had like an amazing pun?
kerosene with a the scene had a C in it.
Like kerosene.
We're intentionally spelled wrong.
We're the kerosene.
Yeah, we're the kerosene.
Yeah, that was my first kid band.
That's amazing. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever heard. Best Zeppelin album.
Oh, wow.
I'm making a point here, which is that
I don't have a best Zeppelin album.
Really?
Yeah. Really?
I would say Zozo, I guess. I know that's a boring answer.
I don't know. I have some real favorites from various ones. I don't know. And I find...
Kashmir, probably your favorite song.
No.
Stairway to Heaven?
No. Maybe Out on the Tiles or The Ocean or Good Times, Bad Times. I love the drum beats and guitar riffs, but... Aren't we talking about Christian music here?
Well, we're talking about good music.
I wanted to make a point, and the point is simply all the hodgepodge, the soup that is My Soul Among Lions. Has a lot of flavors
Soupy.
in it, and of course, one of these days, I'm sure we'll talk to Jody, and he comes from an entirely different set of influences.
Well, Jody wasn't allowed to listen to rock music.
Yeah, Jody's first, if I'm remembering correctly, he found what Talking Heads maybe, or
Cake.
Yeah,
it's like he somehow got a hold of a cake, and it was like the contraband that he hid.
Let me drink this secret elixir.
Everything else was like Sandy Patty and that sort of thing.
And then I grew up with the Beatles and with a lot of classic rock type stuff. And then my dad would listen to what's her name, the famous Christian lady from our era,
Amy Grant.
Amy Grant, yeah. So we grew up listening to a lot of Amy Grant, and on the one hand, and I can still sing singing praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody.
And I have no shared experience with anybody here.
Your favorite band, DC Talk, of course.
I grew up with just the standard pagan public school pop, rap, hip hop, even a little bit of country, but just the smorgasbord of what was on MTV, what was on. Which you and I are VH1.
Just a couple years younger than Phil, which meant you wouldn't have hit the Seattle kind of stuff quite as hard.
No, I didn't hit Nirvana as hard. No, yeah. I was more. Well, I was more rap, hip hop, R&B. We listened to Tupac, because we were cool suburban
gangsters,
the golden age of that kind of stuff.
So we wanted to tap into our softer side. We'd pull out the Boyz II Men,
Motown Philly,
back again.
Well, guys, all of that should prepare us to discuss.
I feel prepared. Now we repent.
We repented and we wrote Psalm 2, He Will Rage. Now, this is interesting. People should listen to the previous episode to get a little bit more context on this, because...
Yeah, I think that if we had full confidence in the nation's rage, this song never exists, probably.
Right.
But we didn't. And...
The criticism, the self-criticism / outside criticism of the nation's rage was that it was maybe too cheerful, it risked being trite about the wrath of God and the fact that it was kind of an upbeat folk song.
And so there was a lot of sort of behind-the-scenes demand for a more straight-ahead, hardcore sounding song. And Jody asked me to help him with it, and I never did because I resented having to do it. That's my confession. That's my first confession. Is I hung him out to dry. He was like, we just have to do one.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to do one. And he's like, no, but we have to. And I was like, well, okay, maybe I'll help you with it. But then I never did, and he ended up finishing it himself.
And I want to say, because this song came out of tensions, there's people out there that really love this song, and they should. It's good. The worst My Soul Among Lions song is, the worst ice cream is still better than the best vegetables. Like, there's no bad My Soul Among Lions songs, but this song did come out of kind of a weird place, and so you'll hear it. We're going to be honest as we do this podcast about some of the tensions and concerns and fears and things that went into.
Yeah, listen, if you love this song, that's great. I hope I'm not discouraging you from loving this song.
Well, especially last episode, we said, I think you aired some of your resentments, as you said.
It's possible.
Why can't...
I never do anything like that. What are you talking about?
Well,
and here's the other thing is I don't... whatever resentments I may have had about having to write this other version, when I really bought into and believed in the other one pretty strongly. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about that when we come to actually both Psalm 4 and Psalm 6. Mm-hmm. I bought into that approach so much that it affected how I approached Psalm 4 and Psalm 6. And as much as, there were certain songs that we did that Jody didn't believe in, and I convinced him and everybody else that he was wrong, Psalm 6 is one that I wrote, and I did not believe in the setting of it because it felt too heavy-handed. I came around. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, you would, because I came to you on the low key and subverted Jody. It was like, I don't believe in what Jody's doing with this musically.
Can you write?
Can you try a version of it?
And I did.
You did. And that caused some conflict. That we'll talk about that too. Wait, your version was still good. Maybe somebody someday will resurrect it.
But it doesn't come close to what we came up with.
It, relatively speaking, it deserved to die.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting challenge that's been through this whole process, and it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think of unless you do it, is how much do you actually lean into the lyrics, with your music, and you can make arguments for leaning away, depending on what it is, for leaning towards it. It's just kind of like in acting. If I'm an actor and I have the line, and the line is, "I hate your guts, Jake," I can do, not that this is a fictional character that hates your guts.
Oh, good. I was
definitely
worried.
not.
Yeah.
Well, so you can argue for, "I hate your guts, Jake."
Yeah,
that's one way to play the line, and that could be a really powerful scene. Another way to play it is, "I hate your guts, Jake."
Exactly.
And that is its own kind of power, and that actually might be 10 times scarier. That might make my character 10 times more frightening,
intense.
You might understand that I'm much more angry if I just say it like very simply, than if I yell it.
Yeah, and that really is the difference. And we talk about this sort of thing. I'll get a plug in for another show. We talk about this sort of thing a lot on the Bookening.
Yeah,
where especially when we talk about Shakespeare, how what's great about Shakespeare, and this is a lesson that we've learned and applied all across the board in all of our writing, to My Soul Among Lions, to stuff we do for the Ville, which is what's great about Shakespeare, is that you can actually read Shakespeare 1,000 different ways and it will still work because the lines are so strong. Famous soliloquies. You can take your pick, right? Like once more to the breach, dear friends, once more to the breach, dear friends, once more. You can do it all kinds of ways, everything in between. But it works because the words work. Yeah, that was the question of Psalm 2 was, are we going to shout this thing, or are we going to try to make it more powerful by saying it with a smile?
Yeah, and as you talked about last week, it actually, there are some people that say, well, it makes it trite if you say it with a smile. There are other people that say, oh no, that makes it really scary and powerful if you say it with a smile. And some people like that. I like that because I'm subversive like that, I guess. Yeah. Rightfully in this case, I would contend. Other people are just like, oh no, you can't make it that scary. Like you can't just be accepting God's judgment with a smile. That's too much.
And other people are like, you can't pronounce God's judgment unless you're yelling it.
Right.
And I think that this is a psalm that deserved a shot at yelling it. And this is a good way to yell it. And there's a time and place to yell it. So
yeah, it's not that everything's. The lesson shouldn't be in talking about this that it's always better to understate some things. Sometimes it's much better to just go for broke, to scream and shout. To you have sad lyrics and you write the saddest sounding melody. There's an argument to be made. I think I tend in my life to prefer. Well, I don't know. It really depends on what it is. In literature, a lot of times I prefer understatement, but sometimes I prefer overstatement. I think you can find a lot, if you listen to the Ville, our fiction podcast, you can find a lot of understatement and overstatement on that thing. And so you can always make an argument. We're going to talk about this a lot, I think, when we get to Psalm 8, because there's 2 Psalm 8s, and one of them was, in my mind, pretty overstated. And we
gave birth to another one.
Don't give it away.
Don't give it away. May or may not have given birth to one that was, in my mind, a little bit more restrained and the better for it. Do you remember anything specific about this one musically, Phil?
Well, I actually liked this one, and maybe for the reasons that you're talking about. I think I felt it was more appropriate. I think I've come to love the other one on the A side,
right?
The Nation's Rage, more now. There were definite challenges in My Soul Among Lions pulling off this other one, He Will Rage, because it kind of felt forced for the style. And in fact, it gave me issues in the production of it. How do you make this thing sound powerful when you're using a mandolin and
yeah?
So how do
you really do need 5 electric guitars?
Yeah.
What's the answer to that question? How did you do it?
Do you think I did? I don't know. I do wonder if it achieved what it needed to, but I did pull off some tricks that you might not hear. Like one of them is I created a duplicate of the acoustic guitar, and I sent it through this processor that ends up overly distorting the sound. And so underlying, you have something that's very grating. Underneath the exact same sound of the acoustic. If you listen now, you might be able to hear it in that way. But I don't know how to put it. What I have here is an excerpt from just after at the first interlude of the song, just so you can hear overall what it sounds like, as a whole with the band. Then this next one, I will take out all the instruments except that distorted guitar part. That's the doubling of the regular acoustic part. Then this is the excerpt of it all put together. So there, that kind of trick's trying to add some strength to this folk acoustic sound. But when we did this version live in worship, and initially I think we did this version more often.
I think that's true, yeah.
Than the other one. I thought it was pretty cool, having a drum set and playing bass guitar and pretty bass heavy. That's not necessarily what we ended up with on the recording, but I thought it was appropriate. It reminded me of Hiding Place, that the Good Shepherd Band song, one of our earlier songs. It has that. Well, it's actually in the same key. It's in C sharp minor, which maybe that's just this really dark key to play in. And so there's similarities. It reminds me of that kind of Judgment song, like Hiding Place. So I liked it, but I think in the end I didn't find it to work as well. And I think I've become convinced of the optimism of the other version, that why that's important and necessary. Just victoriousness in Christ.
Yeah, Hiding Place is a good example of a song that really does tap into how fearful Judgment Day is going to be. If people want to hear that, they can go check that out. Good Shepherd Band, Hiding Place.
Yeah, that's a fantastic song.
It's the same kind of thing that this song is aiming at.
That's fascinating. Well, I guess people can listen to it now. We're going to play it. They'll be able they can listen for that distorted kind of.
I don't know if you'll hear it, but I know it's there. I know what I'm hearing.
Right.
So
no, I love knowing about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually, some people resent it, but I enjoy it when an artist tells me something and then I can't hear the thing the same way. I have to. I suddenly hear the other thing. I think that's neat. Will anybody have any more thoughts, or shall we listen to Psalm 2, He Will Rage?
Let's go for it.
All right.
Why do nations rage? Why do they plot in vain? Why do their rulers take their stand? Strategizing schemes how to break free of God, to cut his cords and kill his lamb. But high up in heaven, God laughs at their plans. I have set my king up on my holy hill. Thunders the echo of his wrath. Disregard my son and there's my cup to fill. All will rage, he will rage, with his rod made of iron. See what war he can wage. He will rage, he will rage, he will roar like a lion. He will rage. Listen up, O lands, and all you kings, be wise. Take warning, rulers of the earth. Kiss the Son of God, don't try and hide your eyes, or he will make you rue your birth. When his wrath is kindled, you'll see what you're worth. He will rage, he will rage, with his rod made of iron. See what war he can wage. He will rage, he will rage, he will roar like a lion. He will rage. How blessed are those who take refuge in him, who love and surrender to the Lamb. How blessed are those Jesus counts for his friends. They find help and shelter in his hand. So let us come, for he will rage, he will rage, he will dash them to pieces, he will smash them like clay. He will rage, he will rage, till their God hating ceases. He will rage, he will rage, he will rage, from his stronghold in Zion. See what war he can wage. He will rage, he will rage, he will roar like a lion. He will rage.
Hey, if you like this song and you want to buy it, you can buy it on iTunes or Amazon or Bandcamp. You can go right now and listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. If you want charts, lead sheets, it's all available for free at clearnotesongbook.com. And if you want to support this work and get access to great new content as we write and produce new songs, go to patreon.com/MSAL, where you can sign up for as little as a cup of coffee a month.